Shalom, all praises to Yahweh, Hashem Yahushai, Bashem Harakal Kadash, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that rule well, and Shalom to all the brothers doing the work sharing truth. Um, yeah, just looking at this Iran situation again, and it's funny because in the mainstream, well, Iran ain't really been in the mainstream. What's the most recent thing? I can't even. Oh no, the most recent thing in the mainstream is Russia getting drones from Iran, which, hey, that links up with prophecy. Ezekiel 38. So, with that going down, now you have what the the spotlight being put back on the area, but for the longest time no one's really been looking at Iran, what's been going on. And it's funny because like the nuclear program was the focus for a long while. It's kind of since Biden came in, America ain't really been directly involved for a minute. And it's kind of, I think the UN, the atomic energy or whatever energy, what they call, not peacekeepers, the guys that would check, inspectors. Like I think they got booted out or whatever, or they ain't been able to have a look see. So Iran's been doing their thing. Iran's obviously been pushing towards the nukes, because why? Their staunchest enemy is obviously the state of Israel, and they know that the state of Israel has that leg up on them through those weaponries. They're basically stepping up to the same stage. So that says what Khomeini advisors say Tehran capable of building a nuclear bomb. So that says Tehran will also directly respond against Israel should its security be targeted, the report says, citing the advisor. Tehran is technically capable of making the nuclear bomb, but has yet to decide whether to build it. A senior advisor to the Iran's supreme leader, Ali Khamenei, told Al Jazeera's Arabic service on Sunday. Tehran will also directly respond against Israel should its security be targeted. The report says, citing the advisor, in a few days we were able to enrich uranium up to 60%, and we can easily produce 90% enriched uranium. Which, I think even from before, it was. I think the deal was meant to have them at enriching at, I think, like 20%, below 20% or some shit, like super low amounts. And I remember them saying it's like they'll need to enrich from like I think 90 to 93% or so or higher to be able to make nuclear weapons. And I believe they were working towards it before with the to get the sanctions off with Obama. They agreed to the deal, and then and then they got the sanctions off. But when Trump came in, it got thrown in the bin, and from then they've been going up. I think they went up to 20, and they've been going up since. So now they're saying that 60 they can go to 90. Fuck knows, these guys could have been smashing it at 90 the whole time, and building up stores, which I wouldn't be surprised, because they said they ain't let the inspectors in. But this is like, as far as for the state of Israel, the worst case scenario. So that's you're seeing the thing that can that can draw them out, man. That would draw the Americas into the draw them into that the Middle East, that conflict, which is chiefly Iran and the state of Israel. So this is what background. In 2018, former US President Donald Trump ditched Tehran's 2015 nuclear deal with world powers, under which Iran curbed its uranium enrichment work a potential pathway to nuclear weapons in exchange for relief from economic sanctions. But yeah, then he put the sanctions back on, and they were just like, yeah, we're just gonna do the thing. Yeah, but hey, them basically saying that is because of why? Because of the connections they have with with Russia, and then what the bloc, the BRICS, which China, Russia, these different countries, they're essentially working on making an ecosystem away from the US. So as such, that's why you have that's why you have these things going down, and that's why now they're looking like, okay, we can say certain things. Because why? Because Russia's basically put themselves, they're contending against the West, and as it looks so far, they're well, it's only a matter of time, really, depending on how long it takes for Ukraine to get rolled into the EU and whatnot. No, into NATO, Salat. So it's Russia showing their prominence. Iran obviously aligned with them, giving them the drones, and now they're kind of letting it be known, like, yeah, we could do the thing, even though what they've actually been doing behind closed. Lets it's all about prophecy, man. Um, Joel 3:9, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords, and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Most High. So that says what? Yeah, beat your plowshares into swords, and your pruning hooks into spears, and let the weak say, I am strong. That's what a lot of these heathen nations have been doing. They've been able to get access to what? Nuclear weaponries. Enriching uranium, these different things that basically allow them to be like, okay, bang, now we've hit the threshold of having access to what? The strong, the mightiest weapon, man. The strongest sword, that Esau's developed. But then what? Really, it's for the sake of prophecy, through the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. For what? For America to have that tool by which it can be taken out by. So it says Ezekiel 38, and we'll start from verse 4. So it says, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth, and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor. So as it says, yeah, the hooks got put in Russia's jaws. That's why essentially we just had a resurgence of the Cold War, and it's like Iran was a focal point. They made the movie what was it, Argo? I believe it was Argo, that was kind of about the was it the coup? I can't remember if it was the coup specifically, but there's that particular political situation where I think they had a bunch of guys taken hostage in Iran, and there's a lot of history as to what's gone down between State of Israel, Iran, America, and these things now. And that's why it's like the reason Iran's got that complete and total contempt and hatred for America is because of the history of what America did in that land. And that's how it is for the vast majority of the nations on the face of the planet Earth. All these nations really have a bone to pick with Esau. Whether they're gonna mention it or not, or whether it's been remembered. But that's the thing, is these are the things that when it comes down to it, the spirit's gonna be put on put on these different nations, these different so-called allies, to flip. And then what? The main cause is going to be what? That contention from Russia, man. And that's why it's funny, because the Russian gas, that's, a lot of the issues as far as that are going to be faced in and around Europe is because they've been cut off from that when Nord Stream 2, the second pipeline, was meant to be getting set up. It was like just before then is when you had what's it called, Ukraine flirting with EU membership and NATO membership as well, and then you have the invasion go down, and then from then the lines have essentially been being drawn, and it's got clearer and clearer over time. So it says Persia, Ethiopia, and so it says all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. So this is Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet. Yeah, so Persia, Iran, as it's called today, it used to be called Persia. That's one of the key spots as well. That's going to be one of them allies. And it's going to have, the capabilities to come against, the US, which is Babylon the Great. Salak, the US, which is Babylon the Great. So as such, that's why it's these things, it's speaking, man. It's the word's going out. Well, the word's gone out, I should say. And now we're seeing it. We're seeing it speak. We're seeing it in living color. And that's In reality, people kind of see that the lines have been drawn. They're just should they ever look at it and pay attention, it's plain as day. But they're just trying to pretend like everything's going to be resolved, or a miracle just wipe them off the face of the earth. But this is all according to the plan of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. So Habakkuk 2:2, and it says, and the Lord Yahweh answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. Yeah, so you write on the tablets. You used to have the tablets where they record things. It said write the vision, the prophecies, make it plain, and then that he may run that readeth it. And that's a funny thing, because now is a time where the book that was sealed has been unsealed, and those who can interpret it, hey, that's been fully interpreted, cover to cover. The breakdowns are there. Plain as day. So the vision's been made clear. And it says for the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Yeah. So the vision is yet for an appointed time. And that's the thing, is there's a time where it's going to come to pass. What we witnessing? What we in the midst of? We're in the midst of that time, man. As you can see, these things are going down. So it says, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come and will not tarry. Yeah, so we're well beyond the time period of tarrying. Now it's been years, multiple years of back to back just seeing these things come to pass. Situation in the Middle East is like there was a period of time where it devolved to where these men were, the so-called Palestinians and so-called Israelis were, running around beating the shit out of each other in the street, man, rushing each other and whatnot. The tensions are still at, you know, that high point. The Syria, what you call it? The presence of, you know, state Israel in Syria. That's still a thing that's going down. And what? But then you have Russia on the other side, allied with them. So that's the thing is, now that you know it's going to, well, these things are able to be spoken in plain English for someone to understand. You know, rather than Babylon the Great, you can just say, you know, you get told to you as America. You know, rather than Esau, Edom, you know, you say the so-called white people and whatnot. These, you know, these things and that have been made plain. And what? It's clear, you know, we're in the midst of that time, man. And all we're gonna see is you know, prophecy continues to move. Because why? It's the time of the end, man. It's on the cusp. But yeah, I'll leave it there. Shalom. Shalom.